Okay, welcome back to Open. New York Edge Animation Studios, part of the broader New York Edge organization, offers after school and summer programs in animation, including stop motion, 2D and 3D animation, led by educators and industry professionals, aiming to empower young filmmakers across New York City. Joining us now is a student participant of the program, Jaziah Chambers. Nice to have you with us.
Hello.
And the co-director of New York Edge Animation Studios, it's Vincent Spencer. Vincent, nice to have you with us. Let's just start with you. Talk to me about, animation studios. We think of the people who create all the nice visuals and PSAs and things that we run on BronxNet, but this has a larger vision, doesn't it? Other than just creating nice productions.
Absolutely. Well, first off, New York Edge is one of the largest after-school organizations in the city.
Really?
And
would not have known that.
And we've got, we host sites in like Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. So, and there's a bunch of working professionals that actually engage with the kids. So, we're giving them practical tools that they can take with themselves and go and do things with and learn. So, in particular, with animation and stop motion, we realize that, there's a barrier to entry in not being able to draw if you want to animate, right? Obviously, It's like, man, I want to animate this guy walking around, but I can't draw. But my co-director and I realized that if we introduce stop motion, the barrier to entry disappears. Now, your flight of fancy can just go. You can tell whatever story you want with just a little time and ingenuity. And that's what we're aiming for.
I once interviewed a Bronx comic book writer, and he talked about the value of having young people create comic books. And I think many, many years ago, we actually had young people creating stuff in the studio here. It's very fascinating to me that you say you can even reach a broader number of young people because they, like me, who has no artistic talent, they really can do this, right?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Josiah, you've created some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me all about it.
So I've created like these backgrounds and I've created backgrounds for my animations and I also made like houses and stuff. And then I used them in my animation alongside the backgrounds.
But when you started doing this, did you say, I can't do this, this is a little crazy? Or was this the kind of thing when it was presented to you, you said, oh, now I can figure it out?
Yeah.
How did you approach it? You like the idea of it. And what is the challenge to be able to do it?
You have to add music and add sound effects and
those things are a challenge. So how do you solve that problem?
basically you can either like save like something and then just try and import it or export it onto the animation, and then once you finish editing it, you're gonna be able to add the music to the animation.
Do you think that this process has helped you be more creative and be able to, really be, in a way, a different kind of person, because it gave you this ability to self-express?
Yes.
Did you realize that was going to happen? Like, did you look at it and say, finally, here's my chance to do this stuff?
Yes.
You did. Just talk to me about the program itself. You need equipment, you need facility. Just put it all in context for us, so that he's talking very enthusiastically about being able to do it. But if he doesn't have the tools in front of him, of course, the teachers and everything, just talk about putting all that together. If you will.
Yeah, well, my co-director's goal and I were accessibility above all, right? Because, if you think animation studio, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of equipment. When we first started, we had DSLR cameras running Dragon Frame, a lot of moving parts.
You say that like everybody, even me, would know what it is, but I don't, but that's okay.
You see Nightmare Before Christmas? That stuff.
I see. Okay.
But there's something made that with. But what we ended up doing was we made everything a bit more accessible. We have everything running on small tablets that are easy to manipulate. There's a program called stop motion studio, an app called Stop Motion Studio that we have on the tablets that's easy to use. And even better is that there is a free version of the app that if kids get the bug to animate, they can
Do
go
it on their
home
own.
and install it on their phones and keep it going. Yes.
Yeah.
So accessibility, accessibility, accessibility.
You know, I know kids, and I've worked with kids, and I've coached kids and all that, and sometimes they show up and, well, Mom made me do this, Mom said it was good, and then they're like, you know. Do you find it difficult to engage them, or once you open up the door to the world of creativity, which is, of course, is endless, that they take to it?
Once they realize how easy and accessible it is, they all just run, they go crazy. But I mean, if you think about it, right? As kids, we've all kind of left a little money on the table because we've all played with toys and had these little narratives, but we didn't have this accessible technology to capture it and tell stories with. And well, now they do. You know, so they're just capitalizing off of the narratives that are already going inside of their heads now and utilizing the accessibility of our equipment to do it.
You, Josiah, you talked about, you know, creating a background. Do you have, like, you know, when I use the analogy, was talking about comic books, writing a comic book. Do you have stories in your head? You say, I'd like to tell this story? Or do you start and then let the thing develop and you say, oh, now I'll do this? Or do you go in with a plan to say, I'm going to tell a story about, you know, something that happened?
I would go in with a plan because if I had a plan, then that gives me knowledge ahead of time, and if I do have knowledge ahead of time, then that would make it better.
You know, I'm remiss. I should have meant, how old are you?
I'm 11,
11 years old. And what grade are you in?
6th grade.
Do you think this helps you even in school in some form? The fact that you do this and it's after school, right? That's what we do. You do this after school. Do you think it helps you in other parts of your life, specifically in school and in your education? I see his eyes are rolling. He's not quite sure, but go ahead.
Yeah, like whenever we have free time, they said that I'm allowed to like draw and make my own stuff.
And do you think, and we're going to get back to our friend Vincent here in a moment, but do you think that in the future that there's something here that you would do after school, or of course eventually you're going to go to middle school and then you go to high school, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that this is something that you would continue to do?
Yes.
This is part of what it's about. He gives me one of these. This is part of what it's about, that it's not only him, Josiah as an 11-year-old, but it's also Josiah as a 14-year-old, as a 16-year-old, and then, of course, beyond. Talk about the opportunities that this paves the way for.
Yeah, well, so like, you know, if you introduce these young guys to what,
Is it, you say guys is only, or you'd say
guys
that
and gals.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
We've got brilliant students of both genders, but when you introduce them to what production actually entails, right? Because, you know, you think about animation, you see the stuff moving around, but you don't necessarily think about the people behind the scenes or the people that create the stuff or the people that operate the tech. But once you realize that there's all these moving parts, all of these different avenues become available to you. And again, I keep saying accessibility, accessibility, accessibility. But with this tech being accessible, they're allowed to follow their path as far as it'll take them. You know, it's like, oh wait, this is what this is. I'm gonna mess with this. You know, and go take it as far as I can. You know.
I'm always frustrated. Don't tell anybody this. I'm always frustrated with our education system because they don't do this with the kids' minds. And in this case, you're literally saying the world, the palette is infinite, right? And
Absolutely.
so they can proceed. Are there jobs in this? And have you seen people, you know, going from New York Edge and then they go out and get a career?
Absolutely. I see. In fact, one of the people that helped set this up is a New York Edge alum.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll give you a shout out.
Oh yeah, you got
Ebony.
a whole group. They brought a whole group of people. Come on, you can applaud
Yeah. then
all the people who are here and let them know that they're really here.
New York Edge has a bunch of working professionals all over the city.
You know, I wasn't
Yeah, that
aware
came
of
from
that,
the
and the
organization.
whole notion of animation being used in this way is you know, something I hadn't heard of. We introduced this segment as for filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really the goal in a way, or is that really what we're after here? Is that
It
really where
could
we're
be.
going?
Essentially, you want to give these guys the tools of self-expression and show them how easy and accessible it is and allow them to express whatever their flight of fancy is. So yes, that is our end goal.
You want to see something fun? I'm going to put Jaziah right on the spot
Go
here,
for it.
okay? If you were to make a movie, if we were to say to you, you could make a movie, what would you make the movie about?
I would make the movie about on how like a tutorial to do animation.
To do this, to do what you're doing. And why would you, out of all the possibilities, why would you select to do that?
I would select to do that because normally I use this app on my phone. It's called Stick Nudes. It's basically
It's called what?
Stick Nudes.
Stick Nudes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I use that app to like create animations. Most of my animations is on my old phone, but now that I have my new phone, it's better.
And listen, what I'm hearing here is goals. So now I have a new phone and I can apply this and you can hear them. I like you. I really like you. Thank you
Smart
so
man.
much, Jaziah, for joining us. So how do people get in touch? What do we do? Everybody's welcome. Do the programs cost anything? Is there a fee or anything?
The program is free.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got that four-letter word that begins with F. It's
our favorite
free.
word. You contact NewYorkEdge.org and see how you can.
And are they in different neighborhoods?
Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx.
You mentioned the Bronx, and so there's places in the Bronx. Well, I just think this is just outstanding. Maybe I should ask you the same question. What film would you make?
Gosh.
You'd make a film about teaching young people animation.
I've got like a Rolodex of stuff in the back of my head that when do I get started?
Put it on the list of bad questions, Gary. Listen, Vincent, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Jaziah, thank you. Keep going. We're going to look to you to run the world for us, so you just get right to
I think
it.
we'll be in good hands.
All right, there we go. So to learn more about this program and all the others that they offer, visit their website at newyorkedge.org. We're going to take a quick break and more after this. Don't go.